Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Tad Stefanak and Robert Paris. Thank you for joining us. The much anticipated guidance from the state on school reopenings this fall has been delivered, and at this time it looks like schools will be open this September, though most students and all faculty will be required to wear masks. The guidelines are from Governor Baker's office in the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, with input from the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. Some of the key components include current medical research supports a safe in-person return to school with preventive measures in place. Preventive measures include masks, face coverings, physical distancing, hand washing, and cleaning frequently touched surfaces. Masks will be required for all students in grade 2 and above, and for all adults. They are recommended for students in grade 1 and below. Based upon current medical research and in conjunction with other preventative measures, a minimum physical distance of 3 feet has been established. Superintendent Eric Conti said that over the next 2 weeks, the administration will be reviewing the guidance to begin to understand how it impacts what they can do in Burlington. He also acknowledged that these initial guidelines do not address every topic and that there will be additional guidance coming throughout the summer. More locally, the Burlington School Committee is looking to adopt guiding principles to help shape how they address those decisions not covered by the state. Some of them include opening plans should reflect the safety recommendations by the Mass Department of Public Health for both students and staff. Social, emotional, and physical wellness of students and staff takes precedence over academics. Students who require specialized support to re-enter school will have a different re-entry to meet their needs. Transportation will not be guaranteed as prior to the pandemic. Every opportunity will be made to have instruction happen outside. You can read all of the guiding principles on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. Middlesex County for Black Lives Matter is determined to educate, rally for, and improve the circumstances and understanding of Black lives in Burlington, Massachusetts, and clarify perceptions of Black people in society. They recently held an event on Burlington Town Common, and BNews reporter Tad Stefanak was there, and he files this report.
No justice? No peace. No justice? No peace.
The Black Lives Matter movement has garnered the attention of media and the world in recent weeks, and the Middlesex County for Black Lives Matter organization has every intention of making sure it remains a focus of attention, holding another Burlington Black Lives Matter rally on Juneteenth.
We're just trying to keep Black Lives Matter, the movement alive, because so quickly the news cycle ends and then nobody talks about it anymore, and then the cycle starts all over again when the next person is killed. So we just came out here and we're just trying to keep the movement alive. We are not asking for things to change. We're demanding it by any means necessary. Any way that I can keep the movement alive, I'll be out here.
So I'm adopted and my parents are white. So my point was to say how I might have some different struggles than other people of color, but I still definitely do have struggles, and I'm going to speak about them on behalf of myself and all other people of color.
Well, imagine how George Floyd felt when his neck was knelt to the ground for that long.
Let's be honest. If there hadn't been a Black Lives Matter rally in Burlington, there wouldn't have been a Back the Blue rally.
Black Lives Matter, it's like an unspoken problem. I just want people to know that we're not the enemy, and I just want people to maybe just listen to what we have to say, because we're not against you and we're not against Burlington PD, because I don't think me or anybody near me has ever had a bad experience with Burlington PD. So this isn't about Burlington PD, it's about racism within Burlington and the entire country, which is what we're trying to bring awareness to.
The situation of the way Black lives are viewed.
Rally attendee Daniel Sosi stepped up from the crowd to address the gathering.
In light of the current state of affairs, it seemed like there was no better time to have these conversations.
I pretty much just went off the top of my head, and I said things that were coming from the heart. I would like people to be persistent. I would like people to be understanding. I would like people to take time out and educate yourself about things you might think you know and things you don't know.
I would just like people to know that this is a movement, not a moment. So we need to continue to have events like these, and we need to continue to raise awareness and to do things about it and educate ourselves, each other, and figure out what we can do to keep helping this cause. So I just want to thank everybody for coming, and let's continue to do that and use our voices.
And I think the more we know about what's going on, the more we can better understand how to pave the way forward.
You can see the entirety of the Middlesex County for Black Lives Matter Juneteenth Rally on BCAT and at bcattv.org. From the Burlington Common, I'm BNEWS reporter Tad Stefanak.
Burlington's water supply has been hit by both high demand and little incoming rain, and in response, the town has once again restricted watering. BNews Director Rich Hosford spoke with DPW Director John Sanchez about the situation and has this report.
On Monday night, the Board of Selectmen reduced the time residents are allowed to water their lawns from every other day to twice a week. The current watering restriction states that the use of outdoor watering systems can now only be run on Tuesday and Saturdays between the hours of 6 and 10 p.m. Last week, I met up with DPW Director John Sanchez, who was warning that high water usage and dry conditions were causing issues for the town's water supply.
So this year is a particularly different year as far as water use. What we've seen is a high increase on the residential side of the water use, compounded by dry conditions that we're having right now and people utilizing their irrigation systems a lot. So right now, as of mid-month in June, we're already at the highest demand that we typically see for the entire summer season, which is not a good thing, starting summer pretty much as we're doing right now. As you all know, we depend on how much water we store in the Mill Pond Reservoir, and we also the limited capacity that we have out of the Vine Brook Reservoir. So those two combined will not allow us to carry the same amount of water that we're currently using today throughout the 120 days of the summer season. So once again, I really ask our residents and businesses to abide by the restrictions that we currently have in place.
If the situation does not improve, Sanchez said further reductions in outdoor watering, including returning to an outdoor watering ban, may be possible.
That's what we're leading to, and this is why we're asking people to really go back to being using a little bit less water than they're currently using, because if there's triggers that we have already built into our reservoir capacity, and if we get to those triggers, then we'll be requiring our residents to go into another water restriction, which we don't want to have to implement. But the full answer is yes. If we get to the point that we have to pick between residential and essential water use and outdoor watering, we're going to pick essential water use.
Finally, he said the majority of the increased water use is from the watering of lawns and not businesses, many of which were closed during the time the major increase happened.
Interestingly enough, and we always get asked about all the businesses and all the water that the businesses use, and during the pandemic, what we saw a slight decrease, obviously, on the water use because businesses were out. Yet, our residential use kept the demand at about 2 million gallons a day. Now, compare that to 4.5 million gallons a day that we saw just yesterday. There's an increase of over twice the amount of water that we're using, and we know that that water is going into watering the lawns. Interestingly enough, we all know that businesses are not open yet, so it's not like all those businesses are using any of their water. So we know where the water is really going, and it's to watering those lawns.
From Burlington Town Hall, I'm BNews Director Rich Hosford.
The Board of Selectmen approved some additional guidelines on Monday night meant to keep diners enjoying an al fresco meal at Burlington's restaurants safe. The provisions were presented by Economic Development Director Melissa Tintakalis and Building Inspector Andrew Ungerson. They said that because of social distancing regulations, restaurants are spacing tables 6 feet apart outside. This has meant that in order to have enough tables to serve customers, they have expanded into their parking lots. The new regulations state that all outdoor tables must be protected from active parts of parking lots or streets with barriers significant enough to deter vehicles. Ungerson said that these could be cement barriers, but did not necessarily have to be. He suggested restaurants with wood-burning stoves, for example, could use big piles of wood. Restaurants could also use employee vehicles. The other regulations include a provision that alcohol can only be served to people sitting at a table, and any businesses serving alcohol must also serve food. Music and television noise must be kept to a minimum in businesses that are within 200 feet of residential properties. They also suggested that restaurants should have customers reserve tables in advance to prevent people gathering in groups while waiting to be seated. They also suggested restaurants should put a time limit listed as 90 minutes to increase turnover. The Burlington popular restaurant Lindana will soon be replaced by a new concept under the same ownership. The Board of Selectmen voted on Monday to approve a change of the name, an alteration of the premises, and a change of the manager of record to greenlight the restaurant switching from Lindana to Moo. Moo is owned by the same group, Burlington Hospitality LLC, as Lindana and the owners say they are committed to the same quality people expect from this existing restaurant. Attorney Mark Vaughn, who is representing the business, said the plans include alterations to the interior, such as opening up the front area to allow more room for guests. They will also take the large function room and make it into 3 distinct dining areas. There are no plans to alter the physical building. In the end, the restaurant will have fewer seats than Lindana has, 254 as opposed to 270. According to its website, Moo, which currently has a location on Boston's Beacon Hill, is a modern steakhouse where chef-owner Jamie Mamano uses his culinary expertise to create classic yet modern steakhouse dishes. The menu for the Boston locations features steaks, seafood salads, and other vegetable dishes, desserts, and more. As for timing, Vaughn said they are looking to start the renovations over the summer and be finished as early as they can. Shannon St. Pierre, who will be the new general manager, said that for now, Lindana is offering patio dining and that people can still call for reservations. If you have an existing Lindana gift certificate, you should call them to determine whether or not those will be honored by the new operation. As the state slowly starts to reopen, Leahy Hospital and Medical Center has resumed non-urgent elective surgeries, procedures, and clinic visits following the state's lifting of restrictions due to COVID-19. Leahy announced the launch of a set of rigorous standards to protect the health and safety of patients, visitors, and staff. As part of the state's phased reopening plan, Leahy is again providing a range of elective inpatient and outpatient procedures and services, including endoscopic procedures, routine screenings, mammograms, orthopedic procedures, along with most other services. Patients should contact their primary care provider or specialist for more information and to schedule an appointment. The safety standards being implemented include a 3-point symptom check, separate areas for patients with symptoms of COVID-19, universal requirement for masks, extra cleaning, and touch-free check-ins and check-outs. BHS Junior Ayush Shingavi and Senior Ashul Sharud have organized a fundraiser called Sponsor a Basket for food pantry organizations. The money raised goes to families in need of food during the COVID-19 pandemic. BNEWS reporter Robert Paris spoke with them and has this report.
The Burlington Food Pantry has been stepping up to the plate when it comes to donating food to families in need during the coronavirus pandemic. 2 BHS students have taken donating to the next level. After looking to make a change for families who need the most help, they decided to raise money through a GoFundMe page called Sponsor a Basket Burlington.
We got a request from the Burlington Food Pantry that they were serving originally 30 families and then they went up to 38. And just the past week, they went up to 57 families and over 200 kids. And so now we're raising, we raised donations and money to gather food, which we're buying from local supermarkets.
A bunch of the donors were actually Burlington schools teachers and people in the Burlington area, and in under 10 days we were able to raise over $1,550 and get, as you can see, a ton of food.
Ayush and Anshul will continue this project by helping out other food pantry organizations around the Commonwealth.
We're going to keep this project going as long as it goes for quarantine and even farther on. So essentially this was just like our first round. Eventually what we're going to do is we've done 2 sets of donations here, and we're going to be moving to other food pantries around Massachusetts. Next will be Lexington and so on. And after that, we're going to try to obviously get to as many as we can and then have them set up so that they can be self-sufficient after that.
We got around like $1,600, so We want to give around like 120 baskets ideally, and as we know, the food pantry serves around 57 families, and over 200 of those are kids. So that's why we got all the kids food for this time, like snacks, Oreos, and stuff like that.
From the Burlington Food Pantry, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
The Burlington Police Department has received reaccreditation from the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission. Chief Kent said that on June 4, the department was awarded its 5th reaccreditation. The Burlington Police Department has been continuously accredited by MPAC since 2008 and was the 27th department in the state at that time to become accredited. According to Chief Kent, the accreditation process is lengthy and comprehensive. Participating departments complete an internal self-review and an external assessment by MPAC experts. The process is voluntary, an evaluation by which police departments strive to meet and maintain the top standards of law enforcement. It is considered the best measure for a police department to compare itself against the established best practices around the country and region. Members of the department's accreditation team led efforts to earn the reaccreditation. The department was assessed in January by a team of commission-appointed assessors. The assessment team found the department to be in compliance with all applicable standards for reaccreditation. Chief Kent said the department has been honored to receive this designation over the past 12 years and sees it as a sign of the department's dedication to offering the highest quality services possible for Burlington residents. The Impact program requires that departments meet all 257 of their mandatory standards and 60% of the 125 optional requirements. The Commission offers 2 program awards, certification and accreditation, with the latter being the higher of the 2. 2020 has been a particularly challenging year on many fronts, and with the kids officially out of school, summer camps are facing predicaments on how to proceed and provide fun experience. BNews reporter Tad Stefanak wanted to find out more on how camps are adjusting and has this look.
One of the hindering side effects of the COVID pandemic is summer camps. With some sleepaway camps closing and no physical contact or sharing of equipment guidelines, the big question is, what are we going to do with the kids this summer? Brendan Egan, Director of Burlington Parks and Recreation, and Megan Gardner, CEO of Guard Up Guardian Adventures, who normally have thriving summer programs, share in this dilemma.
There's still a lot that has to be interpreted by the health department because, as you know, it goes from federal to state to local government, and local government always has the right to be more strict than any of the preceding standards.
We've worked with the Board of Health throughout the process, so the guidance comes down from the state.
Very good.
So it's been a really good relationship. We've worked with them right along on everything. Whatever we've been able to do is because we've worked with the Board of Health.
The restrictions are simply too rigid, and there'd be so much focus on safety that it wouldn't leave any room for live, interactive, dynamic play.
Preschool discovery that takes place here at the Parks and Recreation Department. We didn't feel we could effectively keep preschoolers socially distant for a 3-hour stretch, just in a 15-minute stretch. You know, they're active. Having them in a program where they're sharing equipment and toys, we didn't feel we could safely run that program.
Then also the limitations of only 10 campers per group, and they can only be with those 10 campers for the duration of the week, and the same staff have to be with them all the time.
And then our preschool sports program, which is called Jumpstart, formerly mini sports, same thing, you know, not able to accommodate and safely operate that program.
So it was just too much, and we made the call, and we let our clients know, and a lot of people are converting over to online camp. We're very glad to see that. And what our objective is, of course, is to not have the kids just glued, sitting in their room, stuck in front of a screen. They're actually up and physically engaged. We encourage them to be on portable devices like laptops or iPads. We have all kinds of things in place to help the kids get up and moving and outside and engaged with their friends as much as possible.
I think the feedback from residents has been pretty positive. You know, a lot of them are ready to, kind of expand outside of their family circle of socializing the last few months. And reintegrate, I guess is a good word, their families into, community programming, parks and recreation programming, and just get them active recreating again.
Summer camp guidelines are bound to change as we head into Phase 3 and the new normal. So visit the Guard Up and Burlington Parks and Recreation websites for information on available summer programs. And look for the Burlington Parks and Recreation update on BCAT and at bcattv.org. I'm BNews reporter Tad Stefanak.
Burlington's Sculpture Park is coming together. Selectman Liaison to the Sculpture Park Committee, Nick Priest, asked the board for the go-ahead to begin placing 6 sculptures in the grassy area between the Grandview Farm and the Burlington Police Station on Monday night. Each piece will be installed roughly every 2 weeks over the summer. Burlington DPW will assist in pouring the concrete pads the sculptures will be mounted on. However, due to the size and weight of the pieces, Selectman Mike Runyon noted facilitating the actual placement of the pieces will call for outside equipment. The ability to lift some of the sculptures is beyond the capacity we have here in town, he stated. Priest said he will be following up with the Sculpture Park Committee on getting the use of cranes to lift and place the sculptures. Selectman Bob Hogan asked for information on how the concrete pads might affect the land and grass in the area. Town Administrator Paul Sagarino said he doesn't believe the pads would have a lasting effect on the grounds in the event they are removed. The Sculpture Park Committee is already in touch with the DPW to help any way they can. According to Sculpture Park Committee Chair John Sachs, they are currently working on the schedule for the installs and will be on the site putting in placeholders Tuesday, June 30th. There are no public unveiling events planned as of now due to COVID. They are planning some of the online events where people can meet and ask questions of the sculptures. The schedule for these virtual events is also in the works. The latest in Parks and Recreation update, BNews reporter Robert Parris talks with Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan about registering and size limits for summer programs, Phase 3 of reopening, and more. Let's have a look.
The summer solstice has passed, and people are out and about enjoying the nice weather as we continue through the pandemic. This week I had another update with Burlington Parks Recreation Director Brendan Egan about the upcoming summer programs happening this July.
We've been combing through the guidelines from the state for the last few weeks. We added some registration last week for our Park Place, some additional registration. So we have our traditional Park Place program, our traditional Club Simons program, tennis lessons, and then we also have gymnastics, and we also have a preschool art program that's going to take place as well, all meeting the state guidelines, and working on a virtual orientation for our staff, and getting them trained in what this summer is going to bring with, COVID-19 guidelines being in place. Also looking ahead to Phase 3, which I know the governor announced his planned Phase 2B the other day, and also hinted at Phase 3 wouldn't start at the earliest until July 6th.
Although the programs will be in operation, the number of participants have been limited in some activities.
We're limiting our gymnastics to 10, our Park Place program, to 6, our Park Place program to 10, as well as our Club Simons program, and that's the max. So 12 including instructors. So we're keeping 2 instructors with each group. So we're doing 10 at a time.
One annual event the department is waiting to get the ball rolling on is the Concerts on the Common.
Again, we've talked about it a couple times. Phase 3 looks like we'll be able to do something with moderate sized groups.
As for recreational sports, they will be able to practice with restricted guidelines.
Fields are available for youth sports, so Little League is starting. They have put together a plan. I'm working with youth lacrosse. They have a plan for a little later in the summer, July and August. And it's practices only, no games, hopefully in Phase 3.
The department is always looking out for their staff and public's well-being.
I'd love to not see a spike, and I'd love to see, an increase in participation levels in the guidelines, and, again, some return to typical activities and people out enjoying themselves responsibly.
I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
A lot of events around town have been postponed or rescheduled, as you know, in the past couple of months due to the virus. But places in Burlington are slowly opening their doors. Let's check out what is happening in the community calendar with Robert Paris.
Hey everyone, I'm Robert Paris, and this is your community calendar. The summer events are on the way. The Burlington Parks and Recreation Department has opened registration for selected summer events. All the events will be held in early July. For more information about the list of the events and to register, go to burlingtonrecreation.org or call 781-270-1695. Let's help families bring food to the kitchen table. Through June 30th, Building Impact is having a virtual food drive. You can donate at buildingimpact.org/food drive. That's amore! Also on Tuesday, June 30th from 5 to 9 p.m., the Burlington Historical Society will be having their annual fundraiser at Flatbread Pizza Company. A percentage of the sales for the evening goes to the Historical Society Scholarship Fund. Contact 781-272-2516 for more information. I'm Robert Paris, and that was your community calendar.
The Burlington Senior Center may be closed, but the staff at the Council on Aging is still working hard at trying to help and support our seniors. They're a resource for emotional needs and help navigating paperwork and even providing entertainment. For all the latest, we go to COA Director Marge McDonald for the latest senior news.
Hello. We are settling down to our new normal here at the Council on Aging. Unfortunately, our new normal is virtual or online, which leaves many behind and isolated. Isolation, or quarantining as we call it in 2020, can lead to a whole bunch of issues. It may keep you safe from getting COVID-19, but all that time spent on your couch or in your favorite chair leads to much less activity than you used to get, which in turn leads to your muscles atrophying, you get out of shape, everything becomes harder, so you do even less, which in turn makes it worse, and it cycles. And the older you are, the harder it is to get back into some kind of shape to make you want to be active. Not being active and getting out in the world, seeing friends and strangers alike, can also make you depressed, and both depression and not being active can lead to sleep disruption, as can grief and stress, which all lead to a whole host of problems. It can't be repeated enough. We are all grieving the life we used to have and clearly aren't going to see again in a very long time. Even if you are online and having Zoom parties with friends and families or connecting with the senior center, it isn't the same. I can't fix it. I don't have any answers. I'm in the same place as you. I miss all of you. I miss my family and friends. I miss my colleagues and all the strangers and acquaintances I used to meet as I went about my day. But I do want you all to know you aren't alone. We are all isolated and lonely along with you. I hope that helps. That said, though, if it starts to feel like it's too much, reach out to your doctor or to us. We'll help you find someone who can help. If you do not have a computer or iPad and you want to be able to connect with the outside world, please let us know. We are trying to come up with ways to beat loneliness, boredom, and isolation. If you have any thoughts beyond opening our doors and letting everyone in, please let us know. We are planning a few parades over the summer to the neighborhoods of many of you who come to the Senior Center. If you want us to come by, let us know by calling 781-270-1950 or emailing us at coa@burlington.org. We do have a concert planned for July 3rd at 3 p.m. with Roger Tanknell to help us celebrate the 4th of July. I have also invited other towns to join us to make it even more festive. The more the merrier. Email us to get the link, or if you don't have a computer and want to be able to listen, call 781-270-1950 for the phone number to join. We are also presenting a 4-part lecture series with John Clark on the history of rock and roll. We begin with Rhythm and Blues July 7th at 3 p.m. and move on to Rock and Roll Begins on July 21st at the same time. August 4th, Mr. Clark covers folk music in the 50s and country western in the 50s on August 18th. We're also having a webinar with Orthopedics Plus on rotator cuff pain. You should be able to call in to almost everything I've listed, so let us know if you want to join by phone if you don't have a computer. The town administrator and I will continue with one coffee hour a month on the third Monday, and Officer Lynn Reynolds is back, virtually of course, on the second Monday of the month at 9 a.m. Of course, we will continue to have weekly general coffee hours. Join us for one, a few, or all of them. We'd love to see you, and you can call in as well. If you haven't already, please make sure you fill out the census. The census dictates funding for Burlington for the next 10 years for federal and state funding. The schools and Council on Aging are especially affected. If you have trouble filling it out, please let us know. We can help you. Thank you. That's all for now. I'm Marge McDonald, and I hope to see you on our virtual senior center.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo shows that you don't need to go any further than your own backyard to find some great scenes of nature. It was sent in by Sushila Patel and shows a cedar waxwing that she snapped in her Burlington yard. I'm a little jealous, Sushila, because I don't see that at my bird feeder, and I'm wondering why. She said the waxwings keep coming frequently in groups and are found on trees around the house. Thank you for the photo, Sushila. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your stay-at-home activities, finally eating al fresco at your favorite restaurant, shots of your pets, the signs of spring, or just the weather, spring and summer, just the weather seen from your own backyard. Whatever you think is interesting and want to share, email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Okay, that's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with Rich Hosford, Tad Stefanek, and Robert Parrish. Thank you